Shalom, everyone. Okay, so I wanted to hop back on here and kind of touch a little bit on some things that, I did a really long video yesterday. I don't know, probably about an hour and a half. I never saw anybody clicking on my phone, but I believe people watched it because I know I'm being watched, which is fine. Whatever. It is what it is. But I talked a lot about a lot of different things on that video. I went back and just deleted them. I started to upload it today because I really felt like Spirit said to do it, and then my spirit on the inside, but I am still doing it by coming on here and just revising what I said in a whole new video. So I got really sharp and I got sarcastic on that video on purpose because of the things that I'm dealing with people. I heard a couple things. Well, the gist of what I was talking about was the color yellow. And, yellow represents, in the positive, because we always have the positive and the negative. It's something that's an attention getter. It represents the sun. Now listen to me. I'm not attacking one person. That sun goes in every single sign. Okay, and until you grow up, I'm just talking to people who aren't grown up, okay? Because if this is triggering you, then obviously you're still immature. I just need to say that. And so you've got to be able to view things without it just always being about me. Because I talked about on that video how there are certain signs that come up in readings and people go, oh, that's me. And it could be representing you, but it's also representing everybody because we're all made up of that wheel that we've been talking about. But a lot of times, when certain cards come out, people are just like, that's just me all the time. And it's not. And so that's dangerous to be so self-centered. And I talked about that this morning. That our heart is a self-centering, pumping, life-giving thing, which represents the fifth house, which is the lion. And we've talked a lot about the lion on this channel because right now we're in that season, we're in that hour of the lion of the tribe of Judah, Yehuda, ruling and reigning in an upright fashion and being able to lay down with the lamb and not attacking it because it represents the heart. So that eighth High Arcana card is also connected to that fifth house, which is Leo the lion, right? Which we all have the lion heart in us. And I talked about this morning on that video how she's holding the lion's mouth and getting a hold of that thing. Strength, right? So we all have to make that choice to grab that lion by the mouth and say, no, we got to tame it, because we know lions can be tamed, right? And the lion is yellow and orange, and those are cheerful colors, beautiful. Lion is a gorgeous animal, but if it's not tamed and it's wild, then it's like a stay away from me kind of a deal, right? But it represents the heart, and even the lion itself has a heart. And so we can look at that word heart, H-E-A-R-T or H-A-R-T, and it's all been about the deer and all that kind of stuff, and something very precious, and just depending on where you're at, if you're looking at it in the negative or the positive, is how you're going to behave. But I've done videos before on the color yellow, and so in the positive, it's an attention getter, right? Let's look at the sun, because the sun itself comes out in the morning and it's all about itself. It brings enlightenment. It brings an awareness of what is happening in this natural realm, and yet it goes alone. It's completely by itself because it's such a big luminary that nothing travels with it. It's just it, but yet it goes in every sign, right? And it's something that if it's out all the time and hey, look at me, then you get sunburned, right? So there's only certain hours of the day that it's up, and then it has to go away. And actually, we got scripture stating that the sun is going away, and It said the sun and the moon will be going away, and the stars will just withdraw their shining. Now, I'm talking metaphorically, okay? Everything in the spirit will eventually happen in the natural. However that plays out, literally or just symbolically or metaphorically, or however the Creator allows it to manifest, that's up to the Creator, not us. We can just look at the scripture and then glean from it in a very spiritual sense, because we're actually all spiritual beings, right? Who are natural here in the flesh as well. So that the sun representing who we are, in the sign that the sun shows up in your chart, will be how you show up and go, hey, but not needing to be self-centered, because the fifth house about the heart has to kind of be self-centered, because it's the life-giving pumping organ within our body. It's important. So the sun is important, because nothing grows without the sun. But if the sun is just always about, hey, I'm here, hey, look at me, hey, it's all about me, because the fifth house does represent exposure and look at me. But it also deals with children. It deals with romance, because we talk about, oh, you're in my heart and you just make me so, I feel so romantic. The fifth house and the sun shining down upon wherever your fifth house shows up in your chart. It's important, but yet it has to be tempered, because the sun is a big ball of fire, right? Now, yellow is huge, and I'm not saying anything on this channel that is not already known, because we know that my channel is suppressed. So I'm speaking to people who know where I'm coming from. But people are going after the yellow, right? Or you're being controlled by the yellow in some way, shape, or form. The solar plexus is yellow, and it represents personal power. Because the sun is like, it is its own personal power. It's a beautiful thing to behold. At the same time, you can't just look at it naturally with your eyes. It'll blind you, right? Yellow is also connected to hunting, because it is a lion, right? But we are in that transition where we're stopping the hunting, and we're hunting spiritual things and going after the Creator's heart. The scripture talks about David, the King David, who represents the lion of the tribe of Yehuda. He went after the Creator's heart, right? He said, as the deer panteth for the water, so my soul longs after you. So he longed after understanding what the Creator wanted within him, in his own heart, to connect with the Creator, so that he could rule and reign in a very upright fashion and be a person of integrity. And in the negative, yellow at the root in the Hebrew represents being sick, pus, hacking. And it's funny, because in the Hebrew you have to use the back of the throat, and to have any kind of enlightenment. And we've been talking about blue, and blue also can be found within fire. So you got blue, yellow, orange. You have red. Reddish, is passion. It's also connected to fire and things of that nature. But yellow in the negative represents just being sick. And issues, having issues, things like that. Some people put people in issues and want to shine a light on that and hide the fact that I put you there, but I'm going to make people think that you got a bad issue and you're sick, and you're not, and they're not, because there's been, for some people, there's been a lot of deception. When the sun went down, the moon came out with the stars, and deception had occurred, and then now the sun's coming out in a positive way and exposing things that have happened to certain people in the earth realm. And that's why the wheel of fortune's coming and turning a certain thing in a different direction, because the Creator is saying it's time to turn things a different way and look and perceive a different way than we ever have. It's a higher way, right? So yellow in the negative represents being sick. It also represents spit. And I got on this channel before and talked about how the word spit, or the word wolf in the Hebrew at the root, literally means spit. Okay, now the wolf is a canine as well, right? And I talked about and the L came out this morning on the reading that we did. The L in the Hebrew is the Lamed. It's the letter Lamed. It's the L, which is the 12th letter. Or is it the 12th letter in the Hebrew? Anyway, it means teacher. And it literally looks like a llama. When you take all the Hebrew letters and line them up, the L is the only letter in the whole Hebrew alphabet that stands above the rest. It's the teacher, because you have to have somebody to follow, and you have to have somebody to lead so that others can follow. And it has to be in a humble way, not this, hey, that self-centered, hey, you got to listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. You do have some teachers that way. I talked the other day how some people are literally teaching, or maybe I said it on that video that I deleted, that there are some people that literally are teaching negative things on purpose in the earth realm. But anyway, the letter literally looks like a llama, and a llama will spit. And I talked about how the llama will spit on the wolf because it makes the wolf the spit, because the wolf is a deceiver, right? Gosh, there's so much. I'm trying to remember, because I spoke for like an hour and a half on those videos. But I was really sharp with some things that were coming across. And those of you who watched it offline, I know that it resonated with you. That's why all those swords came out in the reading this morning, because a lot of people are in their mind, because the truth really did come forth. But I was thinking about the lion being the king of the jungle in your lower animalistic state and going out and hunting people, or being the king of the jungle, or as a king representing a lion and ruling and reigning, or you can be an idiot and be the carcass on the side of the road. Now, I'm saying that because I was talking yesterday, and some things came out of my spirit that are found within the scripture about the lion that is connected to a story with the prophet. And there was a lion carcass on the side of the road. And how am I going to connect this together? Also, I talked about last night, I was doing a video, but I didn't upload it, talking about that lion carcass and connection to Samson, which has to do with the eyes, and people going after and eating the pearl of the eye. And because we're not talking about the Cyclops. That thing's going to get poked out, right? That's Roy. We're going to poke that thing out. I'm talking about having eyes to see and ears to hear, so that we don't end up as a carcass on the side of the road and get our, get the eyes poked out, because we're learning how to listen and having that understanding and enlightenment from the Son within the spirit realm. But it talks about how Samson found some honey there, and or maybe it was was it a jawbone? I want to say it was a carcass of a lion, though. I'll have to go back and look at that. But either way, we're talking about the bear and the bee and the honey being the wisdom, and not having all of that within ourselves and being able to hear and see, even if we have to learn how to hear and see in different ways. That carcass of the lion will appear, and you'll end up being on the side of the road instead of ruling and reigning, right? Because if you're going to be hunted, if you're going to hunt, you're going to be hunted. Or if you're just going to be, that's just my symbol of the lion, because I got hold of the lion's mouth and I can stop the urge within me to go hunt after people then you'll rule and reign. Anyway, so three different representations of the lion within all of us. It's called master. We have to master our emotions, master our thoughts. All those swords came out today, and I talked about on that video today about Helen Keller, how they just let her go and do whatever, and she'd run into tables and stuff, and it's dangerous because that movie showed how, things, vases and glass and stuff like that got broken, and she could hear or see, and so, eventually if you keep walking around in your life like that, not wanting to listen, not wanting to see where somebody's coming from, you're gonna get cut. All those knives come out because there's been a lot of deception. That deception is going to turn around and cut you in the end. I'm sorry if this is a little scattered. There's so much that I talked about yesterday. We know that fire fuels air. So if you're dealing with a lot of fiery type people that are talkers, fast talkers, I'm going back to that reading today because almost everything that came out today was air. And fueling the fire, and somebody who is self-centered and can fuel their own fire and try to be this leader. I talked yesterday, and the Spirit was revealing to me that there are some people in leadership that they get barking out orders and doing this and doing that, and people are doing what these leaders are telling them to do. At the same time, they're reporting to their leader what they've done and taking these orders. At the same time, they're walking away saying, I can't stand this person. I literally felt it and heard it in my spirit. I can't stand this person because of the way that they are, but they're in a fix within an organization or whatever it is, and they don't know how to break free from it. That stuff has to stop. It's time to grow up. If this is triggering you, then this message is for you. And if it's not triggering you, then you're going, yes, that's exactly right. So you're either one or the other person that I'm talking to here. It's all about our choices. I have to run these videos back and take my own advice. It's not even my advice. It's allowing the Spirit to flow through me. None of us, like I said, are exempt from any of this stuff. None. So yellow it represents being sick. I'm just going to declare and decree to you right now that I'm not sick. I totally have my mind. I totally understand what I'm saying, and this is my job to bring forth a word so that humanity can grow up and stop acting like children. I talked yesterday on that video about, grown people, that if you literally were watching two children and babysitting, and you've seen these two children having a struggle and fighting, and no, I want that, and they were going back and forth. You as an adult who would be watching that as their babysitter or a parent or whatever, that you would correct that. Yet we got grown-ass people acting that way because of, I want this. This is mine. Because they don't care about the other person. Whatever that thing that you are so attached to, if this is resonating with you, it's time to really get out of that, hey, it's all about me. I. It's not about you. It's just not. It's about the whole. There are the wheel, and we had the Wheel of Fortune come out the other day. The wheel is also considered lords. So there are 12 lords, but there's only one true lord directing in that wheel and turning it, and that's the Creator who created that wheel. So you can't just look at, that's why I keep saying over and over, you can't just look at one thing and say it's just all about me all the time. It's not about, it's about all of us learning one another. I seen a video. Sorry, I was trying to get my thoughts. I saw a video, I don't know, not long ago, and it was footage, literal footage of alligators being frozen in water, but they had their nose just out of the water, but they were literally frozen, waiting for the season to end so that the sun would come out and literally melt the ice that they were frozen in, because reptiles, you can freeze them and then they'll come back alive after when the sun comes out and thaws them out, what I was trying to say. And I started looking at that and thought, wow, like, we're talking fire in the earth realm. Scripture talks about fire in the earth realm coming to burn in the end, which we're talking about our words, because fire. The scripture talking about the fire was going to burn in the earth like the days of Noah, but it was going to not be water; it was going to be fire. Well, if we're talking about reptilians being completely frozen within a season, how long that season has been that they've been frozen, and now it's their time to come out. Actually, it's already been happening. It's time to actually freeze them back, or burn them completely up. I'm not talking about all of them. I'm not talking about all of the reptiles. I'm talking about the ones who are missing the chip. Yesterday I talked about people missing the chip in their head. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. I can't get it. I don't know if we can sit down with an alligator and talk to an alligator. It's impossible. They're on the hunt all the time. Those kind of reptilians got to go away. They got to go away. They don't want to get it. They can't get it. They're not able to get it. So they either get completely fried or they get completely frozen and just have to be frozen in this time of rest, because it is time for rest. Now, yesterday I talked about what I seen in that dream with the monitors laying beside the sheep. And it was a disturbing sight, but yet both parties were in this dungeon, because those who trapped me also got trapped. Okay? Or I could say, anything that you're trying to trap right now is a season that the Creator's trapping others. Because it's a time for peace. And He's making people lay down. He's going to make the lion lay down with the lamb. He's going to allow the child to put their little hand in the snake, which is a reptile family, and it be okay. But where was I going with that? I talked about the series V, because that series was also back in the 80s. This stuff has been going on for a long time, but they redid that whole series back in like 2010, 2011. And on that series, there was a reptilian guy that was actually kind. And he was actually very helpful to that woman who would have been representing a man or a woman, or just humanity, a human, versus the reptilians that in large were after the humans and all that kind of stuff. So that right there, just in our television programming, also shows that not all reptiles are bad, and we know that. We absolutely know that. I also proved in Scripture about Job making companions with dragons, which would be in the reptilian family. But not, so, just like some humans are horrible, they need to be put out. Some reptilians need to be put out. Some of them need to be saved, and some, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. It's a time for you and I to choose how we're going to be. Because the sun's going away. The sun's going away, because we can't have this, hey, all the time. Because if that sun was just out all the time, then the alligators are going to be unthawed, and it's going to be not good. We got to freeze them or burn them. But it's going to have to be, if we're going to burn them, it's got to be different. You can't burn it with the prideful attitude that some people have. You have to do it in the spirit realm and do it in a mature way, not a self-centered way, because that don't work. It just don't work. Man, there's so much. Now I kind of wish I wouldn't have got rid of that video. I talked about no more sea. And we're talking about, it's written S-E-A. Right? And if you want to talk about no more sea in the phonics, that's talking about seeing with that cyclops eye. Right? The extra eye that, because there's a way of seeing in the spirit that's not literally this added on eyeball. It's different. It really is different. It's perceiving, but yet you're seeing. But yet it's eyes, not eye. Do you understand? If we're looking at the sea, now I'm not talking about water, not all of it, because rivers and streams are going to be here. But the sea is made up of salt water. We're talking about the sea that holds the sharks and all that kind of stuff. The sharks are looking for blood and all that kind of stuff, right? That kind of sea is going away. Now, I'm talking spiritual. Now, God can do whatever He wants. He's going to literally take the oceans away. That's up to Him. That would be something huge in the earth. That's a lot of fire to have to steam away all that. But I'm talking spiritual always. The sea's going away. And we got 3 fire signs, 3 earth signs, 3 air signs, 3 water signs. There's one, Neptune in our charts is both fresh water and salt water. And we have literal recorded scripture talking about Neptune in the book of James. Talking about it being confusion. It's confusion. They can't mix. It has to be either one or the other. We can't be both. We have to come to an agreement and be one. Because then you're always tug-of-warring at things. And so that being related to the sea, one or the other has to go away. Still water, but choose which water you want to get into. Because the way you see, the way you perceive, the way you look at things is huge. It's huge. It's time to come up higher and look. We're transferring from lower nature energy to higher nature energy. Hunting after people or hunting after the Creator's heart. The sun itself is a star, and this is why the sun is going away. Because we know that the sun is a star. And I've talked about how the star, if you run it backwards, it's rats. Right? So the sun has to go away. Because it's a rat. Amazing. And then you got the star in the cards, which is number 17, and it's connected to knowing things. Because it's Uranus. Uranus will come in. It rules over Aquarius. It'll come in and it'll just shake things up. So this kind of stuff might be shaking people up because maybe people haven't looked at things this way. People have hunted after people that they thought was a star, but really, if they look at it in a spiritual sense, you really see who the true stars are in the zodiac and what luminaries are ruling over some of those signs within us, right? So the star itself it can either be healing or it's food for the reptile. The word star itself comes to the number 13, which would be Scorpio energy is death. It's death. So we know that the sun's going away, right? Scripture says that he's going to roll up the heavens like a scroll. It's going away. There's going to be a different type of a light that comes out, Scripture states. And like I said again, I'm talking spiritual. All this stuff is happening within the mind, with those who have the chip, that aren't missing their little chip to get it. They understand what I'm talking about. There's a light brighter than the sun that is beautiful. But it's about everyone and not just, hey, it's me and it's all about me and these hours that I'm out, look at me. It ain't about that. That's why it's all going away. This is the Creator's coming in with his own light. Yellow represents light. That L came out today and I said light today. It's having enlightenment in a different way. Blue, the higher heart, and blue, the throat chakra, learning how to speak in a way where we get a different type of enlightenment. Not just always, hey, let me tell you about myself. Now, I know I get on this channel and I talk about my situation because I have no one to talk to. And I have to listen to the Creator because he uses me to teach. But this here, the blue and the throat chakra and the higher heart is important for every one of us in the zodiac to come up higher and understand